Good morning. Today is July the 7th of 2020, and this is our regularly scheduled monthly meeting of the Alabama Public Service Commission. For the record, the public was notified of today's meeting by notice dated June the 3rd of 2020. Welcome to all of you who are joining us online today, and thank you for watching. Given the current situation, we are doing all that we can to continue to be transparent without sacrificing the health of our employees and the public. However, if you would like to attend our meetings in the future, you are more than welcome to attend in person. We have made accommodations in our hearing room to allow for proper social distancing. All we ask is that you contact us by noon the day before our next meeting. Thank you once again for joining us today, and I believe everyone is sufficiently socially distanced today in the meeting. Let me introduce my colleagues here on the dais. To my right, in place one, is Commissioner Jeremy H. Oden. I am Twinkle Andress Kavanaugh, President of the Alabama Public Service Commission. And to my left is Commissioner Chris Chip Beaker Jr. in place two on the commission. Below is our Executive Director, John Garner. He also serves as our Chief Administrative Law Judge. And below is the Secretary of the Commission. He is to my right and to your left, Mr. Walter Thomas. And as is customary, each month a different commissioner gets to invite a special guest to come in and offer the prayer and the pledge. With the current situation we are in, we are not inviting any extra guests into the commission room. Hopefully that can continue soon, hopefully, but today we will have Jeff Johnston, who is a staff member here at the Public Service Commission, offer the prayer and the pledge. If you all would join me.
Everyone bow your heads, please. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you have given us and for the opportunity to gather here today. We pray that you would keep your protective hand on each of us today. I pray that you would be with each of these commissioners today, that you would guide them, direct them, and give them counsel in the decisions that they have to make. Lord, our country is facing difficult times right now. Please be with those who have been affected by the virus. Please heal them, give them comfort and their families. Please be with the doctors and nurses and first responders that are out there each day trying to help us and keep us safe and heal us from this virus. We look to you, Lord, for guidance and direction as we try to find the right path through these times. During these uncertain times, please help us to remember that there is certainty in your love and in your grace. We pray these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for all you do here at the Commission. You do a fantastic job. He's our technical advisor and just a great addition. Thank you. Before I turn the mic over to my colleagues for their personal point of privilege, I hope everyone had a wonderful Independence Day weekend. The 4th of July is always one of my favorite national holidays. Seeing all the patriotic displays, the fireworks, and being with friends and family is always just a treat. And it always comes on a beautiful, hot summer day, so it makes it extra fun. But at this time in our nation, I would just ask you to join me in praying for our nation. There are a lot of things going on right now. We all know about it. We've all watched it on the news. And I just pray that we can all come together. And I ask you to please keep our nation in your prayers. Commissioner Oden.
Thank you, Madam President. I will just take a second and echo what you said about our celebration that we just got through with. And there's not any more important time than I think right now that the people of this country stop and reflect on what our country is, and the greatest country that has ever existed for the freedom of people, and I think the history of our humanness. And we come to that point when we look at this country and we say this or we say that. But let me tell you right now, the freedom in which we enjoy, the freedom to do things that are going on, the freedom to say what we need to say, was not free. It was costly, and it cost lives, in which we stop and honor these men and these women who gave their lives so that we could have the freedom that we do in this country. And we celebrate that throughout the whole year through different days and different times. But when we come across this nation and we look at where and what we have done, we still are the greatest nation, I think, that has been in the existence, especially for the freedom of humanness and the freedom of who we are. And appreciate that, but most importantly, it is also a time to lift this great nation up in our prayers and our thoughts to make sure that we are still on the path in which we have set out to be. Thank you, Madam President, for that time.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Baker?
Yes, ma'am. I agree with you, Commissioner. We probably are the greatest nation that has been. I don't say that I'm sure of that, but I think so. And also we are probably the nation with the most Christians that do the most around the world than any other nation. So if this is to be, it's to be with God's okay. So what shall we learn from it? I think that's probably more important than about anything else. It won't take us down. Who knows where it will go? But He does. And He's blessed us so far. And so we have no reason to think that He will quit blessing us. So with that in mind, I keep a smile on my face and move right along. And I hope everyone else will too. And I don't say that sarcastically, for some people have suffered. It's cost lives, but those things happen in life. So I'm glad we are a Christian nation and we can count on Him.
Thank you. Now for the approval and the adoption of the minutes, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our June the 9th, 2020 meeting?
Yes.
Mr. Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Ms. Nolan?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
With there being no old business to bring before the commission to discuss, we will move on to the new business here at the commission. For our Public Service Commission reports, due to the unusual circumstances, our Executive Director, John Garner, will be giving the reports for all of our divisions except the Utility Services Division. And for that, we will hear first about our Utility Services Division from Mr. Darrell Baker, the Division Director.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll begin with the Consumer Services Report, and this is for consumer inquiries received in June. Beginning with electric and gas inquiries. The inquiries received relative to Alabama Power went down substantially. And for gas, both Spire Alabama and Spire Gulf, they were essentially the same. We had a reduction compared to the same time last year from 26 down to 15. And I think if you look on your inquiries worksheet, you'll see that there were no payment issues in June. And that's because a lot of people got a reprieve during the shutdown, and that has ended. And I think going forward, you may see this go up. Moving to the telecommunications inquiries, there were 2 under basic service received versus 3 last year. Under other retail services and issues, there were a total of 12 received, but only 3 were under our jurisdiction. Referred inquiries, 22 received in June of 2020 versus 16 same time last year. And as a composite, there were 36 received in June of 2020 versus 25 in June of 2019. Not a whole lot of difference, but a lot of it has to do with internet service and wireless issues over which we have no jurisdiction. Moving on to the gas agenda. This is the division report on rate RSE. Beginning with Spire, Alabama, these are figures, actual financial figures through May 21st, with budgeted through September 30. So the projected RSE return on common equity for the rate year ending September 30 for Spire, Alabama is 10.21%, that's within the range. And for Spire Gulf, it's 10.73%, also within the range, and this is not a point test. Moving on to the next item, docket U3738, Spire, Alabama, Inc. This is application for approval of amendment to a special services agreement with Mercedes-Benz US International. We recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Bieber.
Yes.
The next item on our agenda is under the water agenda, specifically wastewater. I'd like to present two items together under one recommendation. Docket 31555 is O'Brien Environmental Services, Inc. Well, that's actually both items. It's an application of renewal for their certificate of financial viability, and according to our rules, that has to be done every 2 years. And we're gonna recommend that be approved. Also under docket 31555, O'Brien International is application to revise their tariff to include a residential and vacant lot charge. This company currently provides wastewater service only to RV vehicles, recreational vehicles in RV parks. They anticipate adding 2 residential developments, at which time they'll need a residential vacant lot rate in their tariff, and they're requesting to add that to their tariff. The rates have been reviewed by staff, and they're equal to or lower than the other rates in the state. So for those 2 items, we recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Bieber.
Yes.
Moving to the telecommunications agenda, there's 7 items, pretty routine. I'd like to present them under one recommendation. Under interconnection agreements, docket U5339, Ardmore Telephone Company and Teleport Communications America, LLC. Under amended interconnection agreements, docket U4129, Bell South Telecommunications, LLC, doing business as AT&T Alabama, or AT&T Southeast, and hereafter I'll refer to them simply as Bell South. And GC Pivotal, LLC, doing business as Global Capacity. Under docket U4527, Bell South and Big River Telephone Company, LLC. Move to the next page. Docket U5078, Bell South and U Horizons Communications Corporation. Under petitions, docket U5340, Butler Telephone Company. Butler is requesting that the commission override Napa's denial of its numbering resources request. They're replacing a switch in their area with packet switching. It's going from an old TDM switch to packet switching. They want to have both switches operating at the same time so they can transition customers over without any disruption. So they're going to need a new code for the new switch. As soon as the new switch is in operation and all the customers have been moved over, they'll turn the code back in. So we're going to recommend approval of that. Under certifications, docket U4299, Southern Public Communications, LLC. This is a COCI company, customer-owned, coin-operated telephone service. They're no longer providing service in Alabama. They want to cancel their certificate and withdraw the tariff. Move to the next page. This is docket 25966, 22957, and U5059. This is CenturyLink Public Communications, Inc., doing business as CenturyLink. This cancels their certificate and withdraws the tariff. Actually, they have 3 authorities. One is to provide customer-owned, coin-operated telephone service. They were provided authority as a total reseller, and they also provided inmate calling service. They're no longer providing service for any of those in this state. And so they recommend, or they request that the certificate be canceled and their tariff withdrawn. And for all these items, we recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Bieber.
Yes.
Utility Services Division has no more new business for the commission today. Thank you.
Mr. Baker, when we looked at that to approve the cancellation of coin-operated telephone service. Brought back a lot of memories of, I'm sure, other people having them, your mom or dad getting you a dime or a quarter and telling you not to lose it in case you needed to make a phone call. So
Those are dinosaurs.
a service of the past, that's a dinosaur, you got it, but thank you, appreciate it. Next, we will move on to the Gas Pipeline and Safety Division, and I'll just remind everyone that Judge John Garner will be giving these reports. Our division directors are here today, but we did not want a crowd in the room because of the current situation, so he'll be giving each of those reports.
Thank you, Madam President. You do have before you the July report of the Gas Pipeline Safety Division, which reflects the activities of that division for the month of May 2020. The GPS staff performed a total of 44 inspections during the month of May. The various types of inspections are broken down for you there in the report. There were 4 enforcement letters of notification that were issued during the month that noted 6 non-compliant matters. There was 1 previously noted non-compliance matter that was corrected during the month. As far as incidents and accidents, there were 2 reported during the month of May. One of those was on May 21st, and it involved Southeast Gas, the Troy Division. They had a 4-inch plastic distribution main that was damaged by an excavator. There were approximately 200 gas services that were disrupted as a result of that incident. On May 27th, Spire and Opelika experienced an incident where a lightning strike ran down the root system of a tree and burned a hole in a plastic service line. The escaping gas ignited, and there were 16 apartments that were temporarily left without service as a result of that. With regard to training, there were 2 classes that were conducted on polyethylene plastic fusion during the month of May. One of those was conducted on May 6th at Mulga Utilities, where 10 personnel were qualified. The other class was conducted on May 19th at a contractor's site that Southern Directional was the contractor. 12 personnel were qualified at that class. With regard to miscellaneous matters, due to COVID-19, the investigators continued their remote inspections from their home during the first part of the month of May. They utilized Skype and other means of communication to conduct record-only inspections. They did conduct some field inspections or construction inspections during that time. The regular field inspections have now resumed as long as they can be conducted in compliance with the existing guidelines on social distancing. The coronavirus travel ban has also required the normal meetings between PHMSA and NAPSR to continue to be conducted virtually. The virtual approach to those meetings is expected to continue for the foreseeable future. There has been good participation in the virtual meetings, and our Gas Pipeline Safety Director, Wallace Jones, has been very instrumental in arranging those. Those meetings have, according to Mr. Jones, produced some very helpful dialogue between the participants. Unless you have questions, that concludes the report of the Gas Pipeline Safety Division.
And I'd just like to conclude that by saying Mr. Wallace Jones heads up that division and does a fantastic job, and we appreciate all of his hard work. Next, Judge, if you will go through the Utility Enforcement Division's report, monthly report. And once again, in that division, we have Ms. Janice Hamilton, who also does a great job for our commission. So thank you to Janice, and I know we didn't want a crowd, so she's probably watching via the internet just like everyone else, but thank you to the job she and her staff do. But if you'll go ahead with that report.
Yes, Madam President, thank you. You do have before you the Utility Enforcement Division's report describing the major activities of the division for the month of May. With regard to railway safety, there were 5 rail carriers that were inspected by the tracking inspectors in May. Their findings are enumerated in the report you have before you. Those track inspectors also made 11 roadway worker, bridge worker, and safe practice observations during the month of May. Our motive, power, and equipment inspector visited 3 rail carriers during the month of May. He inspected some 796 units during the month. There were 2 incidents reported by the National Response Center in May. However, none of those incidents required our involvement. Railway safety staff did respond to a complaint concerning a highway grade crossing that was reportedly in condition of disrepair. Our staff inspected the crossing and enlisted the assistance of the Alabama Department of Transportation to work with a rail carrier to resolve the issue that was noted. With respect to the motor carrier services section, staff in that section processed some 10 intrastate applications during the month of May. They issued 3 new authorities. They also responded to some 171 inquiries during the month. The motor carrier staff also processed some 420 insurance filings during the month of May and responded to some 359 inquiries. With regard to UCR, the staff processed some 32 applications and 279 mail-outs during the month. They responded to approximately 161 inquiries during the month of May as well. As of May, there were 6,079 Alabama carriers, or 66%, registered for 2020 UCR. That leaves us with 3,079 that still need to register. The staff also assisted some 16 motor carriers in making necessary changes to their operating status with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration during the month of May. The staff is also heavily involved in the processing of annual reports for nonprofits and other regulated carriers at this point in time. With regard to the field services section, the staff performed duties consistent with the moratorium on state travel, so they did a lot by conference call, and one of those was conducted with Alabama Power, and it covered the details of dam surveillance and monitoring. These are some reports that are generated on an annual basis and submitted to FERC. Holt Hydroelectric Plant was the topic of discussion, and everything was in order regarding the safety of that facility. Alabama Power also responded to an inquiry concerning a presidential executive order to shore up the power grid and concerns with regard to cybersecurity by developing a prioritized risk-based approach to critical supply chain threats. The company is complying with the North American Reliability Council's reliability supply chain standard in that regard. Because of the travel restrictions, there were no field inspections that were conducted during the month of May. In lieu of that, the staff attended training webcasts and participated in some other training opportunities that were available. With that, that concludes the report of the Utility Enforcement Division, unless you have questions.
Thank you, appreciate it. And next we have our Electricity Policy Division that is led by John Free, who does a great job for our commission, but I'm going to let Judge John Garner give that report today.
Thank you, Madam President. You do have before you the Electricity Policy Division's report dated June 30th, 2020. This is the division's normal monthly report on rates RSC and ECR in dockets 18117, 18416, and 18148. With regard to rate RSC, the staff performed its monthly examinations of the books and records of Alabama Power and determined the reprojected weighted return on average retail common equity was 6.28% for the 12 months ending December 31, 2020. This return is based on 5 months of actual data for January through May of 2020 and 7 months of budgeted data for June through December of 2020. As for rate ECR, the staff performed the regular monthly review of Alabama Power's energy costs for the month of May 2020. The staff determined there was an over-recovery of $2,279,719. And with that, Commissioner, this completes the report of the Electricity Policy Division on rates RSC and ECR, unless you have questions.
Thank you. And next, your division, the Legal Division, if you will go over that for us.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a number of items for your consideration on the Legal Division agenda dated June 30th, 2020. The first 16 of those items are relatively non-controversial, and with your permission, I will bring those up for a single vote. And I will begin with docket 33032. This is the application of GBPB LLC, DBA Black Tie Moving Services of Huntsville, Alabama, and Gurley, Alabama, for a certificate to transport household goods. Recommend the grant of that certificate as requested and approval of the tariff. The next item is under docket 33033. This is the application of Birmingham Mobile INC, DBA Zippy Shell of Birmingham, Alabama, for a certificate to transport household goods. Everything is in order there. Recommend a grant of that certificate and approval of the tariff that is submitted. The next item is under docket 32989. This concerns a motor carrier application of Elite Transportation MS LLC of Shibuda, Mississippi, for a permit to transport passengers. A report and recommended order was entered in this cause on May 22nd, 2020, which recommended a grant of the authority sought with a restriction against the transportation of luxury limousines. There were no exceptions to that RRO that were submitted within 20 days from the date of its service. By virtue of that, a recommendation is for the entry of an order recognizing that RRO became the order of the commission by operation of law due to the fact that there were no exceptions submitted within the statutorily established 20-day time frame. The next item is under docket 19727. This is the petition of Henderson and Coker INC of Alexander City, Alabama, for reinstatement motor carrier certificate F330, which was revoked due to insurance difficulties. Those have been rectified, so the recommendation is for a grant and reinstatement. The next item is under joint dockets 30146 and C19624. This concerns the petition of Car Relocations INC, DBA Good and Fair Moving Service of Meridianville, Alabama, for cancellation of motor carrier certificate 3741. That certificate was revoked by commission order dated January 7th, 2020 due to the petitioner's failure to maintain proper proof of liability and cargo insurance coverage, and that was done in the informal docket C19624. So the recommendation is for reinstatement of certificate 3741 for the sole purpose of canceling it in good standing, and then grant the cancellation as requested in docket 30146. The next item is under joint dockets 19763 and 32481. This is the petition of Scuttle Shuttle LLC of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, to suspend operations on motor carrier certificate 4052 for a period of 1 year. That certificate was revoked by commission order dated June 9, 2020, due to the petitioner's failure to maintain proper proof of liability and insurance coverage in informal docket C-19763. The recommendation is for reinstatement of that certificate for the sole purpose of suspending it in good standing under docket 32481 and then grant of the 1 year suspension requested. The next item is under docket 33028. It's the application of Wise Guys Moving LLC of Opelika, Alabama, for a certificate to transport household goods. Recommend a grant of that certificate and approval of the tariff that was submitted. The next item is under docket 33021. It's an unopposed motor carrier application of Rebirth Transportation LLC of Greensboro, Alabama, to extend an existing operation. As I mentioned, this is an unopposed application, and the applicant waived its right to a report and recommended order at the hearing, so the recommendation is for a grant of the authority requested. The next item is under docket 19717. This is a petition of Gregory W. Payton, DBA Payton Hauling of Prattville, Alabama, for reinstatement of motor carrier certificate 5085, which was revoked due to the petitioner's failure to maintain proper proof of liability insurance coverage. Everything is in order now, so the recommendation is for a grant and reinstatement. The next item is under docket C-19729. This is a petition of Ison Logistics LLC of Rainbow City, Alabama, for reinstatement of motor carrier certificate F5154, which was revoked due to the petitioner's failure to maintain proper proof of liability and cargo insurance coverage. All those issues have been rectified, so the recommendation is for a grant and reinstatement. The next item is under docket C-19700. It's a petition of Alabama Grading and Excavating LLC of Montgomery for reinstatement of motor carrier certificate F5105, which was revoked due to the petitioner's failure to maintain proper proof of liability insurance coverage. That issue has been rectified, so the recommendation is for a grant and reinstatement. The next item is under docket 32691. It's the petition of Wyndham Tours Inc. of Birmingham, Alabama, to suspend operations on the motor carrier certificate CB73 for a period of 1 year. Recommendation is for a grant of the 1 year suspension requested. The next item is under docket 31972. It's a petition of Black Ridge Services LLC of Sylacauga, Alabama, for cancellation of motor carrier certificate F4666. Recommend cancellation as requested. Moving to page 4, the next item is under docket 33007. This is APSC versus Delinquent Companies. This is a show cause proceeding that was established to address the failure of numerous carriers to pay their inspection supervision fees for fiscal year 2019, despite numerous notices from the staff to do so. A show cause hearing was held on June 17, 2020 in this cause. It gave those entities an opportunity to appear and show cause why their respective certificates should not be revoked for their failure to pay their required fees. The recommendation is for the issuance of an order revoking the certificates of those carriers who did not pay their INS fees and did not appear at the June 17, 2020 show cause hearing to demonstrate why they have not. Those entities may achieve reinstatement upon payment of $100 for each month that the required fees remain delinquent. It's further recommended that all carriers that have now paid the required INS fees be dismissed from this proceeding. Next item is under docket 32779. This is the application of Razor LLC, also known as Uber, for renewal of its permit to operate as a transportation network company, or TNC, in the state of Alabama. Everything is in order with the operations of Uber in this application, so the recommendation is to approve the permit renewal application. And the last non-controversial item is under docket 32941. This is the Alabama Public Service Commission versus all motor carriers who failed to file annual reports for 2018 operations, or the motor carrier annual report proceeding as we call it. We have had a carrier Park Transfer and Storage Company Inc. of Birmingham that has now properly filed its annual report for 2018 operations. So the recommendation is for dismissal of Park Transfer and Storage Company Inc. from the motor carrier annual report proceeding and reinstatement of their certificate. And that concludes the non-controversial items.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh,
Yes.
Commissioner Oden,
Yes.
Commissioner Bieber.
Yes.
The next item is under docket 32698. This is the application for reconsideration, rehearing, or modification of orders filed by Riverbend Association Inc. on April 22nd, 2020, requesting reconsideration of the Commission's March 19th, 2020 order granting approval of a tariff revising existing customer rates and charges for Riverbend Marina LLC, or RBN, and the Commission's April 14th, 2020 order granting the renewal of RBN Certificate of Financial Viability. The recommendation is for denial of that request.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh,
Yes.
Commissioner Oden,
Yes.
Commissioner Bieber.
Yes.
The last item you have on the legal division agenda is on page 5. It's docket 32978. This concerns the application of NextEra Energy Pipeline Holdings, or Loman Inc., for approval of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to construct, own, and operate an intrastate natural gas pipeline in the state of Alabama. The application was the subject of public hearings held on December 12, 2019 and June 18, 2020. Some 16 landowners intervened in the proceedings held in this cause, although at least 2 of those landowners ultimately withdrew their intervention. Clark-Mobile County's gas district also initially intervened in this cause, but they ultimately withdrew their intervention after reaching a stipulated agreement with the applicant Loman regarding the scope of the application under consideration. The Attorney General of Alabama also intervened and participated in the proceedings in this cause, as did commission staff. With regard to the recommendation, based on the evidence compiled at the hearings held in this matter, it appears that the applicant Lohman has met all the required notice provisions of Alabama law regarding the proposed pipeline and has otherwise demonstrated that the requested certificate is required by the public convenience and necessity and will otherwise serve the interest of the public. It is accordingly recommended that the certificate of public convenience and necessity requested in the application of NextEra Energy Pipeline Holdings or Lohman INC be granted.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Owen.
Yes.
Commissioner Bieber.
Yes.
That concludes the presentation of all pending regulatory matters. The only thing I have left, Madam President, is the pending administrative items, which consist entirely of pending motor carrier matters. I recommend approval of all those matters.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Owen.
Yes.
Commissioner Bieber.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge Carmen, appreciate it. Does anyone have any other new business? Okay, with there being no other new business, let me remind you that our next regularly scheduled commission meeting is Tuesday, August the 4th of 2020. And just a reminder, for those of you who would like to attend in person at the commission, in the commission room, as long as things continue like they are today, which it looks like we will be continuing that way, we will put out a notice if anything happens to change. But if that's the case, the meeting is August the 4th. You need to let us know you will be attending the meeting by noon on August the 3rd so that we can accommodate the social distancing requirement. Right now, the city of Montgomery is requiring a mask for any group gathering like this, so we would ask that you adhere to city and state laws. And now, before we close, I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Baker.
Just like to let you know that Marie Cole, Mike Cole, who attends almost all of our meetings, is having some health issues, and I would like to ask that you would add her to your prayer list.
Thank you for reminding all of us. Definitely keep Marie in your prayers. Anything else? I don't think I asked anyone to turn their phone off since we have such a small group gathered, but since I didn't ask you to turn it off, maybe you did anyway. I'm going to remind you to turn the volume back up on your personal device so as not to miss a phone call. And with there being no more new business to bring before the commission, thank you for attending. We stand adjourned.